everyone. I am Lisa Hurley, and this is Real Talk on Racism. Welcome. I'm super excited today because our guest is Ashanti Martin. I am a huge fan of hers. She is a writer who has been featured in Forbes, NPR, NBC News, and I would say semi-famously in the New York Times. She has been widely recognized for her New York Times article, Black LinkedIn is Thriving. We're going to dive into that a little bit. She calls herself an anti-influencer, and one of her many catchphrases is vibe or bounce. And so with that being said, let's vibe.
Let's vibe.
Let's vibe. Welcome to the show. Let's do it.
Hello, Lisa, and I want to echo that I'm such a huge fan of yours and a fan of this show, and I am so pleased and excited to be here. So
thank you.
Let's vibe.
Let us vibe. So, okay, let's start with, you are essentially an anti-racism activist, right? Mm-hmm. In a broad sense. What led you to, I'm sure that's maybe not where you started, right, in your career. So what led you to this point and to doing this kind of work?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's where I started in my career, but I think that like many people, over the past 2 years, what I've striven to do is find greater alignment with my career and the things that I've always been passionate about. Right. My experiences, my identity, the lens through which I view the world. So, the past 2 years have kind of led those things to dovetail in ways that have been extremely rewarding, but also really seeing the impact of that and letting that happen. So to start, I am a Black woman. I am also a Puerto Rican woman. I'm a multicultural woman. I am a person of color in this country. So my experience have always been attuned to how our differences, but also our commonalities, and particularly to injustice and inequality. It's been something that I've noticed from my earliest memories as a child. So that's really kind of where it started.
Right. So you mentioned injustice and inequality. So I know that you are interested broadly in reparations, wealth redistribution, and so on. Can you tell our viewers a bit more about that?
Absolutely. The genesis of the LinkedIn article that I wrote and a lot of the work that I had done after the murder of George Floyd, I think we were all galvanized. I won't say all, many of us.
I definitely was.
Everyone currently,
yes, in this room on this show,
in this conversation,
right, exactly,
was really galvanized by those horrible events that I knew from overall knowledge and personal experience were nothing new. Things that had been happening for quite some time, but. In particular, one thing that stayed with me was learning about George Floyd's family history. So two things there. One, I learned that there was a Washington Post article and also in the Los Angeles Times about his family having several hundred acres of land in North Carolina. His great-grandfather had been enslaved, had gained freedom, and had acquired all of this land. And as told through generations of his family, it was stolen by white farmers. It's important to remember that he and all of the other people who have become so sadly symbols of the racism we're experiencing in the present day were real humans. But finally, for me, the thread was, what if his ancestor, Hillary Thomas Stewart Jr., had been able to hold on to those 500 acres of land in North Carolina.
Because land is wealth.
And 500 acres of it.
500 acres?
500 acres. It's really incalculable what his family lost. And it's just fundamentally unfair. I would challenge anyone who would challenge me on that.
Right. And there are those who would. There are those who would challenge
but I don't think that they have much to,
No. But you have facts and receipts.
Facts and receipts,
right?
and I don't think the argument would last too long. You know.
Exactly. So, in your research into George Floyd, did you come across any other families who had unfortunately experienced similar, or?
There are really countless, and we can't really know for sure. And that loss of land, that theft of land, is just a small part. I mean, it's not small. It's really meaningful, and that's why it's important, I think, to think about the impact over time. But it's part of all of the systemic ways that we have been excluded from wealth, from economic participation, and then, by default, as a result, political participation and representation. Yeah. So one of the conversations that also stayed with me, and that I learned before I kind of, like you, it feels kind of corny to say I made this my life's work, but
here we are,
right,
talking about your life's work, right?
Exactly.
This is a part of your work now, and so how does that look for you in terms of making it a part of your work?
It looks a lot of different ways. One of the things, as I branch out into the various areas of influence and work and sort of content production, that kind of thing, is wherever possible, and it's always possible, to work with Black people.
Yes.
To me, that is just, it has given me so much joy to be able to connect with people like you and so many others.
Likewise.
And to really think about, keeping things in the community.
Yeah, being intentional about that.
And being very intentional about that.
Yes.
And really reconnecting with the how it's different to just kind of work with us.
It is a different experience.
Yeah.
It is a different experience. Speaking of which, speaking of the Black experience, in sort of like the digital domain, let's go back for a minute to the article, the New York Times article, Black LinkedIn is Thriving. You guys, do yourselves a favor and read it. It's an excellent one, right?
I'm so glad that people are still discovering it.
It's still a thing, and this is what, 2 years later?
So it's I always say it's 2 years, but it's actually right around now. It's 2 years of the sort of genesis, the beginning
So
of that article.
Can you take us back to the genesis?
Yeah. So it was about 6 months in between the genesis of the idea, the seed, and publication. So that was an interesting 6 months. Yes, I know.
You always think, and even I'm a writer myself as well. I haven't written for NY Times, but
I hadn't either.
Right. But
before then.
Exactly, but one day. But often a lot of us are on such a tight deadline. That is interesting to me to hear that. Okay, it took 6 months for you to let it sort of fully come to fruition. I think there's a lesson in there somewhere. Yeah.
I think so. I think that, and there's been a lesson for me in accepting that that's how I work.
Yes.
And it doesn't really necessarily match the pace of our everyday life and what people expect.
Yes.
But
yes.
it's also
what was birthed.
It's me.
Right.
That's how I create and produce. And it can be a struggle when people like it and they want more and they expect more, and I struggled a lot with that. Yeah.
Like, okay, well, it has to germinate.
Yeah, I know.
It has to germinate.
I need a full 6 months to process, and now you're putting pressure on me, and I don't work that way. But so the genesis was about 2 years ago, and I really just saw how we were, and I say we. In general, but also very specifically, because you were among those people.
Yep.
There were so many people among the ranks of Black LinkedIn who didn't make it into the article.
No, but I mean, look,
there's so many. I can't mention everybody.
You can never. It's like every time any of us, and many of us are connected on LinkedIn, and You know, there are times like for reasons that we're discussing here, you don't see each other's content because it's been suppressed or the algorithm is not in our favor. It's not that you don't want to.
So that's one of the things that, when the genesis of the idea wasn't very much focused on the technology, the actual product of LinkedIn, the algorithm, the coding. The genesis was really, this is how we're making a difference. Essentially, we're doing what we did on and for Twitter via Black Twitter, but we're doing it on LinkedIn. And here's the difference, and here's why that is important. That's why you should pay attention, because I was paying attention, and I said, this is something that people should pay attention to. So, and then I guess someone at the New York Times agreed with me and let me do it, and it was great.
Fabulous.
So, but the issue of the algorithm and the issue of content suppression and content restriction wasn't one that I was looking for or expecting to happen upon, but it was really very universal.
It is a part of the Black experience on LinkedIn and on a lot of other social media platforms.
Yeah, and for a very long time I had evaded that until finally January of this year, I too was
really. What? So can you tell us a bit more?
Temporarily
about what happened?
banned.
Were you?
Yes.
Oh no!
I
How long were you banned for?
I had mixed feelings. I was proud, and
You're like, I finally made it.
I know.
That's hilarious.
What was funny is that the content was suppressed and hidden. I saw that, they put the red tag on it. So I posted it again, and I said this was, banned. And then they did it again, and so then I posted it again. Because it's just who I am, and then they got upset.
Let them know that you are not going. You will not be silenced. We can keep playing this game.
I can sit here and continue to do this, and then they slap me on the hand, and I was temporarily banned. So that was interesting because it had not happened to me, and I still don't know why. I haven't really been persistent in trying to figure out, because it's pretty clear to me.
Yeah.
Talking about something that a company like LinkedIn clearly would rather not talk about. We're here, a year and some later. And all the people who were saying, "Oh, we won't stand for this. This was a horrible act. This insurrection." People, companies saying they wouldn't contribute to politicians who supported this. Nobody wants to talk about it now.
By the wayside.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think that, look, LinkedIn and any social media platform, which are all owned by FANG, they're going to do what they want.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but if you look at the composition, so a lot of the reporting of research underlying my New York Times article was about the diversity numbers, so the representation in big tech, really looking at what their numbers are, their workforces.
Or lack thereof.
Well, I mean, LinkedIn, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I pretty clearly remember that about 3 to 4% of their workforce is Black, and about 1 to 2% of their tech workforce is Black. That's,
I think the numbers
outrageous
speak
to me.
For themselves.
That is truly outrageous to me. And so nothing will change as long as that remains. And one of the questions that I asked their DEI, their head of DEI, I said, I looked at the numbers from, I think, 3 years before I was doing the reporting. And I looked at their most recent diversity report, and I said to her, nothing has really changed over 3 years. She said, oh, we're working on things, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, do you think that people on LinkedIn are okay with waiting another 3 years? And then to see what? You haven't really come very far in 3 years. It's another 3 years. And that's just a refrain that's so common.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Just wait, just wait. Well, how long have we been waiting?
Something that I definitely believe in is that, actions are all. There has to be action. The sentiments are wonderful. But what are we backing it up with? What are we putting into action? How is this being actually executed and implemented?
Yeah.
Right? We need some verbs in there.
Right.
Verbs and results.
Right.
Verbs and results.
Results.
Right.
Numbers.
Numbers.
Are
Metrics.
nice. I'd like to
Metrics.
see them change.
Right,
Right.
exactly. Right.
We love data so much.
Right.
It's something I say all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, a lot of people always say, show me the numbers, show me
Yeah.
the data, show me the business impact.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even in your business impact, I can see there's very little impact. So what are we doing?
Right. Switching gears slightly. One of, on your very wonderful LinkedIn profile, right?
Oh, thank you.
Please follow her, everyone. You call yourself an anti-influencer.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about that? That's a very specific title with a specific message. And so, yeah, tell us more.
It warms my heart to know how much that term has resonated with folks.
Yes.
It was not something that was carefully crafted, at least not in the way that we like to think of like personal brands being carefully crafted.
Right.
It was carefully crafted in the sense of me understanding how I want to present my voice, which is essentially, you don't have to listen to me.
Right.
You don't have to support what I say. You don't have to agree with what I say, and I'm not trying to get you to do that. I don't care.
So what do you care about?
I don't care what you
do you care about?
What?
No, I'm listening, because this is the flip side. The flip side has to be mentioned because people need to understand that it is the not caring, and I'm very much 100.
Oh, I know
we
you
follow
are.
Each other.
I know.
We follow each other, so I am 100% in the camp of, oh well, this is how it is. This is the message. This is the person. Vibe or bounce.
Right.
Vibe or bounce.
Love me or leave me.
Right.
So but in that, I think, and I see that in you, and I see that in a lot of our peers, contemporaries, friends, and connections. Even though I don't, my goal is not to be an influencer. I've recognized in using my voice, it is influential.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that's really
the nuance.
accepting.
I love a good nuance. Yes.
I sometimes take the nuance a little too far. I'm all layers. I'm all about layers.
Too many layers.
Yeah, but sometimes they hit. So that's really the gist behind anti-influencer, is that I recognize that because of the things that I mentioned earlier, my experiences, my viewpoints, my background, my perspective, my education, that when I speak, it is influential, and I've witnessed that over time, and I'm finally in a place where I can accept that.
Okay. So you're doing all of this anti-racism work. Is there ever a time when you get tired? Is there ever a time when it gets to be too much, and when you kind of want to step away from it all?
Yeah.
She's like, currently?
That's such a hard question. But what I will say is, for example, over the last 3 months,
Right.
I haven't really been following any news.
Interesting.
None. And I'm a news junkie. I'm a news hound.
Right.
I was a newspaper reporter for many years. Part of it is that feeling of, feeling like whether I look or not, just like, we with these videos, a lot of us just don't watch them anymore.
Yeah.
And it's because there is that feeling of me watching this is going to change anything. Nothing has changed. Nothing is changing. I try not to let that defeat me, because I don't fully believe that. But I do believe, I believe that it's worth working for change, but I don't think subjecting myself to this stuff all the time is the necessary ingredient for that.
Right.
I've done a lot of work. I feel like I've done a lot of work. You've done a lot of work. We deserve to take a break, and there are a lot of other people who need to do some more work.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that. And that is definitely part of the purpose behind this show, is to help sort of get more messaging out there and provide people with ways and reminders and inspiration for, okay, you're getting this education, you're getting this inspiration, and here's now it's your turn. You go forth, Go forth and do the work. Go forth and actively be an ally and so on. So
Yeah. Go
definitely.
forth and do better.
Right.
Go forth and tell people around you to do better. Don't be afraid of
Yes,
it.
yes.
You can always, when I say look to us for the vocabulary that you need to, I don't mean literally come to me and ask me what you should do or say. But again, I think the term, sometimes I feel it's overused, but it's apt. Google is free. Our LinkedIn profiles are free.
Yes.
You're free to follow me.
Right, and we have, like, there's so much, just looking, for example, at your featured posts, just as an example. There's a plethora of information there that's available for people to go and digest, sit with, and then go forth and act upon.
Right. So please do that.
Please do that.
Well, I have already done that, and now I'm going to go relax or do whatever I choose to do.
So okay, we've spoken a little bit about relaxation, right? And I guess so many of us have to really focus on the self-care aspect, but at the same time, this is probably our, a passion, right? So since it is your passion, what is next for you on this journey? What do you think is coming next, or what would you like to be next? What would you like to focus on next? And what's your vision? I'm asking 10,000 questions, right?
Deep ones.
Deep questions.
Every single question.
What is the meaning of life?
Well.
Right. So, but yeah. So, what is next for you? And what is your ideal future if you could wave your wand?
Well, if I could wave my wand.
Yes.
I would make tons of money appear.
Yes.
Because
make it rain. Make it rain.
Make it rain
yes.
everywhere.
Yes.
Because
for everyone.
For everyone. Right,
everyone.
Exactly. In fact, on my way down here, I came up with another catchphrase.
Do tell. I love your catchphrases.
And you're the one who said you need to trademark catchphrases. Yes. And I was just like,
trademark.
And that relates
IP.
directly to, exactly. But my catchphrase that I haven't tested, but let's just test it here, was flex but share.
Love it!
Right?
I love. Oh my gosh!
Like,
you're brilliant.
It's okay.
Okay, so I'm expecting very shortly to see that on LinkedIn somewhere with a good trademark sign next to it. Okay. Just putting that out there. Listen, just even for merch or something, like you have so many ideas.
I mean, I don't
make it rain for yourself.
Whenever this airs, what I will say is that
Yes.
there may be a merch store available.
There you go.
For people to invest in these ideas and words that have resonated so much with them.
If there is, we will let you know. So
you better follow me on LinkedIn.
Right.
To the audience.
Right. Follow her.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth your time. Like Ashanti is absolutely one of the, in my humble opinion, one of the stars. Right? You never miss. There's some people like that. Your posts, your content, your voice. Just always a vibe. Always a vibe.
Thank you. I mean, and I thank you for saying I never miss, because it's nice that it looks that way. Over here, I don't, but then sometimes, then sometimes there's a matter of the algorithm. You never know.
Yeah.
Was it just me?
No.
Or was it the algorithm?
Yeah.
I thought this was,
Right.
but it's not resonating. So you never know, and I try not to sweat that too much. But, the flex or share, flex but share is, don't be afraid to put yourself first, to enrich yourself, but share the wealth. Yes. Share the wealth. You don't have to wait.
Which brings us right back to like what your focus is on, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Literally sharing the wealth.
And so just like working with other Black business people, thought partners, that kind of thing is. We've talked about this. Let's get it together. So it is about me, but it's not just about me. It's about us, and that's one of the things that I think is missing from certain environments or spaces in professional life that are comprised of 1% to 3% of Black people. Is just that ethos of not just for me, but for us.
For us.
You know, and it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. So that's really, so as far as what I see for myself, to get back to your other deep question.
People have said I do ask too many deep questions. I've been told that before.
I'm such a deep thinker. It's so gratifying for someone to really like plumb the depths, because to get it out of my head.
Good.
But you know, what I would like to do is to really focus on, you know, I don't love the term content creator, but I'm looking to develop a media company, something very broad.
Yes.
That really can encompass all of the modes of communication and creation that I love. So, you know, for example, newsletters. Many of my favorite media is newsletters. One of them is called Sharon's Anti-Racism newsletter.
Is it now?
Yeah, you should definitely check that out. It's by a fantastic writer named Sharon Hurley Hall. Newsletters, podcasts, you know, content creation on LinkedIn, videos, live web series, webinars, these kinds of things, and really to have it focus on the topics that I'm interested in and my perspectives, and then bring in people who share those or who can add to those, and really create a place to have dialogue about these sort of sensitive subjects that require, you know, nuanced discussion, but also be very clear about the vision, our shared vision for the future, which is, you know, liberation essentially, is freedom, being able to enjoy all the same pursuits of freedom that everyone else is able to. I don't think that's too much to ask. It feels like it is. It feels really people are making a really big deal about it.
They're making it difficult, and it is actually extremely simple.
Yeah, but it's triggering a lot of people across the country now, apparently. And that's really, I'm not surprised at the backlash all across the country to the critical race theory boogeymen and all of the bills that want to suppress people who are trans or non-binary or queer. I'm not surprised, but it's really disheartening to see how it is taking over some places. So, you know, it's just, that's why we have to keep doing the work that we're doing, is to continue to resist that.
All right.
Yeah.
So on that note, continue to resist, folks. And thank you again, Ashanti, for being with us today. Thank you, folks, for joining us. My name is Lisa Hurley, and this has been Real Talk on Racism.